Hey you guys, Ash here's the Goodland Blues, and this is the fiery Monday supplement, talking about yesterday's disaster and corruption that came from Goodison Park with Chris Kavanagh. Yes, Chris Kavanagh, the referee from yesterday's game, who is a Manchester United supporter, and also our favourite guy, Mr. John Moss, who wouldn't give anything to Everton even if you fucking paid him an envelope full of money. But anyway, yeah, back to yesterday's game, an absolute great start. We were all happy enough with the start. The goalkeeper De Gea makes a mistake, and Calvert-Lewin does what every striker should do: puts pressure under him, wins the ball, and puts it into the empty net from 1-0 up. First half then didn't go to plan. We did lose Coleman after 20 odd minutes with an injury. We weren't in the game at all. 70% of possession nearly at the end of that first half Manchester United had. And then going into the second half, we were much better. Jordan Pickford, unfortunately, who we will speak about in a second, he made an error in passing the ball to Michael Keane instead of just getting rid of it. Michael Keane then decides to hit it out, try and play the ball out. We lost the ball, and Bruno Fernandes hits a long distance shot, which wasn't the best shot in the world, wasn't the hardest shot in the world. It was swerving towards Jordan Pickford, but he decides to dive over the ball yet again and let the ball go under. And he's crying into his shirt and everything else. With Jordan Pickford leading us into this part, is he our keeper going forward? Do we have to buy another top-notch goalkeeper in the summer and ship him out? Because to be perfectly honest with you, only for the fact that we still had the potential of getting I think because of yesterday's result, I think Champions League is pretty much out of the question now. Unless, so we could beat Chelsea, and if we do the unbelievable and beat Liverpool, well, then we're back in it. Because these were the two games I was hoping we would win, and then we might have difficulty. You might get 2 points against Chelsea and Liverpool, where because we haven't beaten Arsenal, we actually lost. We've actually then drawn, but we should have won yesterday. It kind of puts it into a batter, and obviously Wolves beating Spurs yesterday keeps them in the hunt for Europe as well. So results not obviously going our way. I believe if we were not in Europe, fighting for Europe, and completely safe from relegation, I would take Jordan Pickford out of it altogether and put in Virginia till the end of the season. And it's another word, to give him, I suppose, Premier League appearances, but to also give Jordan a wake up call, saying, look, you're not the be all and end all. We know you can be a fantastic goalkeeper. He proved it later on in the second half with that amazing double save. And I was absolutely screaming at the TV in the Mercantile yesterday, saying, why couldn't you do that for the goal? And Don was saying to me, oh no, but that was a great save there. And I said, but Don, but when it mattered earlier, it didn't matter. If he had saved that and then did that amazing double save there, we could have won the game 1-0, never mind 2-0, or even the 2-1. So is he the bigger picture going forward? I really don't know. I thought he was going to be. I thought we got him at a snip in these marketing terms. When you get him for 30 million, I don't think we'd get 20 for him if we sold him. I know they're always talking to him about being England's number one goalkeeper. There's that other guy, Poole, coming up. There's a couple of others. I just can't think the names off the top of my head because I'm still annoyed. I had to be in my mind, but they're all coming up, and they could easily take him over. And should we be signing one of them? We can't just keep saying, okay, we've nobody else. We've only got Virginia, or we've only got Stecklenberg. We've signed Losel, who he's a Premiership player. He played an awful lot of games with Leicester, and we let him. Not Leicester, Huddersfield, and we let him go back there, and leaving us then with the Stecklenberg and Virginia. And Virginia was on the bench yesterday. He had that loan spell, of course, I think it was with Wigan. So he has got game experience, and we need to give him their Premier League experience. Maybe as soon as see how we are fixing the table wise after the Chelsea and Liverpool game. We'll see how we are there, and if not, take him out of the side, take him out for a couple of games, put him on the bench. But he seriously needs some coaching, and especially for these shots that are low, because what's happening is he's letting these go under him so easy, and you're going to have players then taking long distance shots like that, skin them off the ground, and is he going to let them in on a regular basis? Because look how, as I said before, he was brilliant with that double save right towards the end, and kept them from winning the game. But is he our answer going forward? I really, really don't know. On to the main part of today's Monday supplement, and the one that you may hopefully ignore the expletives that are going to come into it, because I think as this goes on, I am going to be quite rowdy. It's, as I said, just got 8 o'clock now. and I'm still so fucking annoyed over that yesterday, Chris Kavanagh, and it leads not just VAR. We get to that in a second, but why the hell are fans of a team that's playing in the game? Why are they allowed to referee that game? Chris Kavanagh is an adamant Manchester United fan, so he shouldn't have been refereeing that game yesterday. Same as now, I don't know to hand any referees who support Everton. I honestly don't. But there's bound to be somewhere, maybe not in the Premier League, but there's bound to be referees in the other divisions who are Everton supporters. So you start playing, League Cup games, FA Cup games. You're playing against lower teams, and the other referees come into that game. How many of them have been Everton fans? And could we have had, decisions go away because of it? Whether true or not true, you'd had then guys like that prick John Moss, who was in the box yesterday in VAR. He wouldn't give us that, and doesn't matter how much money you put in an envelope. He's an absolute prick. Um, so why was he there yesterday? It should be completely and 100%. If you support any of the teams that are playing, you don't be playing. So Chris Kavanagh, I'm sorry, you're a prick. You fucked up the game yesterday. You enjoyed it, I'd say, at the end when you went back to Manchester. You had yourself a nice little party after screwing us over yesterday. That leads us then to VAR. Again, we're back in the news. Why it wasn't used properly. The one that I'd say that went against Manchester United, that I heard from a couple of the lads in the Mercantile yesterday, because I didn't see the replay, was the one that left the free kick that Gylfi Sigurdsson took that hits the post. I think it was that one. I'm not too sure, but anyway, there was an incident where Fred, I think, handled the ball, and the referee said it was a handball, but I believe it turned out he didn't actually handle the ball, and because of Fred went up to Chris Kavanagh and absolutely screamed and moaned on him. He got a yellow card for dissent, and why wasn't VAR used for that? There's a perfect example for it to be used. And while that stoppage was going on, VAR could be checked, and Prick Moss could come back to Prick Kavanagh and say, yeah, he didn't handle it, it's not a foul, and you drop ball and off you go again. Then the situation that led to the goal that should have been kept, they're talking about Gylfi Sigurdsson being offside. At the end of the day, when Dominic Calvert-Lewin hit that ball, it came off Maguire. De Gea had already committed himself to go to the right hand side, so whether Gylfi Sigurdsson was sitting on the ground or not, the ball would have went in. He wasn't interfering with play. Yes, he lifted his legs, it went into the goal, and it should have been 2-1. Went to a VAR check, and because of that, Chris Kavanagh got a lovely gleam on his face and says, yes, I can screw Everton over here, and fucked them over, and went to the other prick over there, and John Moss said, yes, I can fucking screw these fuckers over as well, yeah, tell them it's no goal, and they fucking enjoyed it. You can bloody well sure they were sitting in that fucking box while he was watching The Simpsons, looking at, yeah, it's no goal, it's Everton, no goal, and did that yesterday. But then in saying that, the VAR was used for that. But they could have continued a VAR check, because as that sequence of play happened, Gylfi Sigurdsson was taken on by two in the box, so and it should have been a penalty. So why wasn't that checked out by VAR? So why didn't they go back and say, okay, it wasn't the goal, but let's look to see the reason why Gylfi Sigurdsson was on the ground in the first place, and then go and get that. But it didn't even. Now, fair enough. Prick Moss and Prick Kavanagh would have probably found some reason not to give the penalty, but the fact is they didn't go back and looked at VAR. So again, the corruption is completely there. If you want to have a great video, listen to it, watch a great video of corruption, go to YouTube and go to the Mighty Blues and look at Cammy's video yesterday. He's absolutely livid. He's way angrier than I am. He's actually said he's had up to here with the league, and he's sick of it, and he's just absolutely fed up with it. And as I said, referees should not be refereeing that game if you're a fan. End of story. Then you kind of makes yourself wonder where we could have been without this VAR. Some guy, I noticed it yesterday, he put up on Facebook, he's put up a petition to get it put out of Europe, get the Premier League to get rid of VAR. But it's not going to go. It's in Europe, and it's working well in Europe, with the exception of the Premier League, because it's been screwed over by the referee and officials. That's the bottom line. End of story. Looking forward then to the Chelsea game. Be interested to see who's managing the Chelsea game, and be interested to see who's managing the Derby game. But we got screwed over earlier with the Derby game. I can't think the name of the referee. It'll come to my head maybe in a few minutes. But the guy who refereed the Derby game, he's a Liverpool supporter. His two kids, season ticket holders, Liverpool. His brother or sister-in-law, maybe both of them, season ticket holders. What the fuck was he doing managing that game? Need I say more? You know, if you have, if you go through a list of the Premier League referees, get a list and see what clubs they support, and then the clubs can turn around and say, no, we don't want Chris Kavanagh. You know, Manchester City can say, I know we don't want Chris Kavanagh. He's a Manchester United supporter. He shouldn't be refereeing this game. And then Manchester United can say, oh, this guy F and F, he's a Manchester City supporter. He shouldn't be refereeing this game. There has to be a sequence of clubs over the years have gone to the FA and said, look, we don't want this guy. He's an absolute disgrace. He made so many mistakes. We don't want him refereeing our games anymore. There's bound to have clubs left, right, and centre of the Premier League in the last 20 years have done that and say, look, we don't want this guy refereeing. You know, even Colina, the big Colina, as far as we're concerned as Everton fans, he screwed us over that night against Villarreal in the Champions League. He screwed us over. Nothing wrong with big Duncan Ferguson's goal. You know, now it made no difference in the end. We all know that gobshite went up the other end and he scored the goal. But this goes to show even the mighty Colina was, could get it. You could never prove it, but we all know deep down that the corruption is definitely there and it needs to be sorted out. In regards to that, we can't keep it going. And VAR, whether it stays or goes, it needs to be used correct. Correct. What is the point of yesterday? I'm going. We all stand up at the table. The young lad gets his his father's half pint and he flings it up in the air. I get soaked. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like fuck's sake. And get absolutely covered in beer. And then for that, you're thinking, we're celebrating the win. It all comes to a halt on the screen, VAR check. And I knew fucking well, before the result came back, it was going to come back as a possible offside. And the young lad was saying, no, it won't. We scored. He wasn't offside. I said, I'm telling you, Chris Kavanagh, perfect opportunity. He's going to screw us over and say, ha ha ha, no goal. And that's what he fucking did. Him and Mr. Moss. Well, the two of them can go and fuck off. So yes, that's it. It's unfortunately it's ruled us again. It's kicked us in the teeth. It's cost us 2 points. It cost us, I think it would have taken us above Manchester United and put us again into good stead for the Chelsea game. And obviously, if we were able to win that game, it put us in good stead for when we bring Liverpool to Goodison Park on the Monday Night Football. It would have been an absolute brilliant. And can you imagine? Sadly it didn't work out against Arsenal. But if we had gotten that win yesterday and then the win on the Chelsea and then a win against Liverpool, what the 3 weeks that could do to give us that kick to get us moving in that direction, to get us up that table. Because obviously there are 4 difficult games, and if we had taken the Arsenal win, if that just had such a shame it didn't happen, and then that win, the possible win yesterday, it gets us up there for when we get to the other end of the table with the other teams playing outside the top 4. So teams around us beating them teams to get us up into European. In the European places. And like I said, now mentioned earlier, I think it's time that once we get the Chelsea game, Liverpool game out of the way, and we can pretty much see, okay, there's not much chance of getting it. Let's get Pickford out of the side. I think get Pickford out of the side and get Virginia in there in goal and give him a couple of games, because he's done. He's there. He's had games for Wigan. He's done it. He's been there, done that. He's not like he's 17 years of age. He's much older, much more experienced now, and should definitely give him a run out. The guys would have taken him on loan otherwise if they thought he was absolutely brutal. Why we gave Losel out on loan, I don't know. I would be actually, when you think about it, get him off back from loan, recall him back from loan, push Pickford into the sides, and get Jonas Losel on the team and give him a run out. Because Pickford needs to learn that you can't just have these fleeting little brilliant moments of brilliance and then do stupid things like that. The Newcastle game, letting the ball go under him. Yesterday's game, letting the ball go under him. There's a numerous occasions where he's letting that ball go underneath him, and he's proving himself not to be worth the 30 million that we spent on him. And something like Sunderland will probably laugh at themselves silly still after we sold him. And when you think about it, you were buying a goalkeeper from a relegation threatened club at the time. Now, fair enough, he hasn't got the best defence in front of him when he was at Sunderland. But yes, he was making these saves here and there, but he was still making those comical errors, and he's still making those comical errors as time goes on. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, whether Pickford should be in or out. Um, how you feel about yesterday's game in the sense of, did Chris Kavanagh screw us over? I believe he firmly did. And that's just the way my taking on it. I'm not going to change my mind. I'm adamant now that the Premier League needs to do something about it. That if the referee supports a team who is playing, you don't just put your name into a hat or pull out a referee for a game. If you pull out a referee for a game and it says Chris Kavanagh supports Manchester United, then he doesn't referee that game. End of story. Alright, take care guys, keep an eye out during the week. We'll have the preview for the Chelsea game. Until then, have a good week. Cheerio.
It's a grand old team to play for. It's a grand old team to support. And if you know your history, it's enough to make your heart go, whoa.